Well, good morning everyone, Ian from DIY Home and Gardening. 5th of December, absolutely horrendous out there. We've had snow last night, albeit not very much, which was preceded by ice, and now we've got heavy rain, so some localised flooding. So yeah, better off, let's just get in the greenhouse and do some seed sowing. So seeds today that I'm sowing are Teasel Wildflower. Makes a fabulous plant, and I want to get some more of this up the allotment. I sowed some, grew some at the last allotment site that I was on. So good. The bees and butterflies, bees in particular, absolutely love it. Really good for that late bit of nectar for them, and then you get the amazing seed heads that follow. So I want to get some up in the new allotment. So if I turn the camera around and we can have a look as to how I'm sowing the seed and hopefully what it's going to do for me. So as I say, Teasel. Now this is what's called a hardy biennial. So that means that you sow the seed and it grows to form a plant in year 1, and then in year 2 it will then produce up the long tall spikes that then has this flower head on top, and then as that flower head dries it creates the nice brownish, very common teasels that we'll love, and probably as children have made little hedgehog type creations out of. So this is what I'm going to be sowing, and what I'm going to be doing is my plan is to create a bit of a wildlife border at the allotment. So planting Verbena bonariensis, Teasel, some Eryngium that I sowed last year, and a few other secret delights. But essentially this is going to be part of that wildflower border, so to speak. So let's pop that aside for one moment. Let's talk this. So we've set up one cell tray of 20 cells, which they have good depths to them, much better than the old ones. And my plan is just to have 20 cells worth of those plants growing. Now, these seeds were £2.45. You get 150 seeds in there, so that's pretty good value, I think, or really good value, especially if you were to try and get a plant of that, which is going to set you back in that sort of size pot. It's going to be about £3, £4 potentially, from a supposed wildflower specialist. So for the same money as one pot, you're getting, what I say, 150 seeds. So these are Mr. Fothergill's, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter. They all, loads of the suppliers do the same. So this compost is just a normal multi-purpose compost. I've had it in the greenhouse warming up for the best part of a couple of weeks whilst I was doing chili peppers. And so normally when I'm sowing seeds, I would give the compost or give the tray a drink outside, but that would be using cold water from outside. So all I'm going to be doing is using this to water the surface with. I have got my watering can in here as well, but this is obviously an easier method. So we're just going to water the cells in, and normally when I'm using the hose pipe I'd say leave it to drain for half an hour, but just with that amount of spray you won't need to do that, because you can see the water is already dispersed down through the cells. So let's just whip off the top of this. It's worth also pointing out, there we are. So these sown indoors, January through to April. You can plant them outside as well, but to be honest, that tends to be, sowing the seed more in that April period, and so I want to get ahead of the game really, so that I can get planting as soon as my bed's created. So I'm starting nice and early, which also means that the plants can benefit from the heat of the propagator. I can get them germinated out of that propagator, ready for my veg sowing. So that's the seed in there, and that's what it looks like. Let's turn that, it's probably going to be safer. So it's not the biggest seed, but it's manageable. So what I'm going to be doing is just popping in about 3 seeds, 2 or 3 seeds per cell, and that is hopefully going to ensure that I end up with at least one viable plant out of each cell that's going. So it's called multi-sowing, and it's what I frequently do because, as if you've seen previous videos of mine, I always say I think the price of seed is so cheap, certainly compared with a grown plant, that you can afford to do this method, multi-sowing, and still end up with more plants than you know what to do with, compared to obviously spending a fortune on buying them. So multi-sowing, and so even at 3 seeds per cell, we still end up with a load of seed left over. And that's those done. And I'll probably end up sowing those at the allotment, the rest of them. So it's quite a decent size seed that we got to play with. So I was debating whether to use vermiculite coverage, but I think I'll go with more compost. So we'll just lightly cover it, just roll it between your hands to ensure that you break up any lumps. If you do find any bigger bits, then discard those. Light tap down, just ensuring that you've got good compost contact with those seeds, and obviously eliminating the air pockets. So that is those done. Label previously written, and because this compost is a little bit drier, we'll just give it a little spray down, and that is that. And like I said, that's now going to go into the heated propagator and hopefully germinate pretty quickly, so they can be out before I need to get sowing on my other seeds. So I'll come back once they're doing something. Update time, 21st of January, so about 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks on from seed sowing, and you can see how many of the seeds have germinated, other than probably that cell where my thumb is. As they've been indoors this whole time, they really need to get a drink and be moved outside to harden up a little bit. So let's go. Okay, so you can either give them a spray over, or when it's mould like it is today, give them a drink from below. Just allow all that compost to get hydrated again. You can see the water rising through to the top. Plenty to drain off there, and they no longer really want to be in too much heat, so move them out into the cold frame and they can toughen up a little bit, get established in there. Once they've got their first set of true leaves, so these rounded leaves are seedling leaves, or first leaves. Once they get the first set of proper leaves, then I'll think about thinning them out and allowing the remaining plants to thicken up, ready for planting. 15th of March, so 5 weeks on from seed sowing, and this is how the teasel are looking. So you can see they've now got first true set of leaves, showing their distinctive indentations on the leaves, and well, they all look pretty strong to me, and they're in the cold frame, so totally unheated. We've had a few nighttime temperatures again of going down to the minuses, but yeah, these will be good to go. And now they've got their first set of true leaves, second set on the way, they'll soon be ready for potting up, probably in another week or two, and you can see the root zone developing quite nicely through the cells there. So 28th of March, what a difference a week makes in terms of growth. And here we are with the teasel. You can see most of them have got a second set of leaves now, good root zone formation, so time to get a bit of planting done. So this is a little corner they're going in. It's the shady spot of the garden, nice and secluded for wildlife. So we've got things like the lily of the valley coming up, there's snowdrops, the magnolia, anemones, wild primrose, wild garlic, got a echium there, and then the tree dahlia, which is really good. The birds love perching on it before they go into the nesting boxes, so this is going to be a perfect spot for planting out some of these teasels, which will then give them some good nutrient rich seed once they start doing their thing, which will be next year. So I'm just going to start with the biggest ones, because a lot of these are going to end up going to the allotment, where I'm doing a wildlife border. And look at that, lovely little root zone, 3 plants in there, but that's fine. Quite happy with that, because I always multi-sow, and you always want to try and plant in odd numbers so it looks better, a bit more natural. And we're planting out at the moment so that they can get established, put on some decent growth, decent root zone, to give them a good amount of energy ready for seed and flower production next year. So obviously these are biennials, so sow your seed, get your plants going year 1, and then puts on its flowering stem and flower in year 2. So I'm just going to pop these into here, and height wise you're going to be getting up to about 4 or 5 foot high anyway, so it's going to be competing directly with these taller plants. But getting those in, shuffle the camera back so you can actually see where I'm planting. It's always a bonus. So we're just getting those in like so, little one to the front, the bigger clumps to the back, firming around so you're getting shot of those air pockets. And then in the summer months, just making sure to water them so they can stay active, and that is all you need to do. And that is going from sowing of seed through to nice viable plants on teasel, and so next year we'll have flowers and seeds that the birds are really going to love, and just keep hopefully coming into the garden, coming to the allotment for more goodness. And certainly at the allotment that should translate into the birds also taking some of the pests like the caterpillars, you know, the cabbage whites that I don't really want up there. So nice simple video, takes a little bit of patience certainly in terms of your seed sowing, but then having to wait that additional year to then see the fruits of your labour, but well worth it. And also the other bonus, once the seeds are done, you can retain that seed head and get nice and creative with that as well. So video done. If you've got any questions, then please send the questions to me. I always answer them as best I can for you. If you've liked the video, then please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that reminder button so you don't miss out on future videos. And I always say it, but just enjoy yourself, have fun in the garden and try something different, and perhaps add in a few more wildlife beneficial plants. Is that something different? We've all got a little corner of the garden or balcony where you can plant something that's just going to promote a little bit of wildlife habitat and interest. So till next time, bye for now.